love you. I love you.
In the face of Annie's repeated confessions, the man seemed distracted. Annie has severe Parkinson's. At first, the men are attracted to her beauty. When they learn of her illness, they'd leave her behind. Jack is a pharmaceutical sales rep. He's a lover of all ages. One day, he entered the clinic as an intern, and he peeked in on Annie's exam. Annie thought he was an intern, so she didn't care. She didn't realize that after the exam, Annie realized that he was an imposter. She beat him up. This different Annie made Jack fall in love with her. Jack got Annie's phone number. After Jack's persuasion, he set up a meeting for the afternoon. Annie was on fire, and Jack couldn't get enough of her. Whenever Annie called, he'd be there in a heartbeat. Parkinson's kept Annie from facing love, but Jack's fall from grace was complete. Jack tried to tell Annie what he wanted to hear, but Annie would avoid it. Annie's symptoms were getting worse. She couldn't even tear open a bag. Annie went on a long trip without saying goodbye. Jack waited in the car all night. No man had ever treated her like that before. She chose to accept the relationship. They had a sweet time together. Annie had a camera in her hand at all times to record their moments. One day, Annie asked Jack to name 4 things about himself, but Jack couldn't even think of any. Jack had never been recognized by his parents, but Annie just blurted it out. From then on, Jack was no longer the playboy he'd always been. No matter what the temptations were, he always came home on time. That day, he couldn't hold back his emotions any longer, and that's when Jack realized what it was like to love someone. At the same time that their relationship was growing stronger, Annie's condition got worse. She couldn't hold the scissors or open the bottle of medicine. She even had trouble getting out of bed. Annie used the alcohol to provoke Jack on purpose, to make him leave. But when Jack closed the door, the glass of water was knocked over, and Annie's emotions broke down. Jack took her into his arms and let Annie cry. Jack took Annie to a Parkinson's meeting. Annie met a lot of people with the same condition. She saw how optimistically they fought their illnesses. Annie had a renewed sense of hope. Jack met a family member. His wife also had Parkinson's. Jack asked for some advice. Get out of here and find someone healthy. But he was thrown into a cold shower. The harsh reality of the situation. The best of the past was gone. Any normal person hearing this would be hesitant. After the meeting, Annie was in a great mood. She kept expressing her love for Jack, but Jack was evasive. He took Annie to the doctor's office to cure Annie. While Jack was ranting and raving at the hospital, Annie grabbed her coat and left in despair. That night, Annie asked Jack to move out. Jack couldn't sleep without Annie. Annie stayed up all night looking at pictures of them. Jack got the promotion and raise he'd always wanted. He wasn't as happy as he used to be. At a celebration party, Jack met Annie again, but by her side. But there was another man beside her. Jack was preparing to leave for his posting in Chicago. When he was packing, he found the video camera. It was a record of their time together. Jack's eyes turned red with tears, and he realized if he missed each other, he might never again meet the Annie he loved so much. He was ready to drop everything to find her, but Annie had already moved away. On the bus, Annie was lost in thought. Suddenly she heard a horn honking outside. But this is the highway. There's no stopping. Jack followed her all the way to the service area. He finally caught up with Annie. I'm sure I need you now, and you need me. In the face of Jack's words, Annie couldn't stop the tears. Jack quit his job. He chose to stay with Annie.